Hi guys and welcome to my latest video. Now what we have here today is a digital streamer. It's a digital source basically, and it's called Lindemann Limetree Bridge. Now this is not a budget type of streamer that I'm usually covering, but this one costs 750 euros in my country. I tried googling its price in the US, but I couldn't find it. I would suppose it's probably somewhere around 900 US dollars. So it's definitely not a cheap device. It's just a small streamer, and it doesn't even have integrated DAC section. So it's a digital source that you'll connect to your network, then stream audio files to it and connect its digital output to your DAC and then to your amp, etc. So let's quickly go through build and features and connectivity. Regarding build, it's small, it's lightweight, it's made of aluminum, it looks quite pretty. For the asking price, it's nothing special really. There's nothing luxurious about it, but there's nothing to complain either. It's just quite nice device and that's all. On the back here you can see there is a 5 volts DC power input. You do get a wall wart switching power supply with it. It does sound better if you feed it with a low noise power supply. It has Ethernet port to connect it via cable to your home network, but it also has Wi-Fi connection. Antenna is in the box. USB port is not an output. It's actually input for a storage device. It can be USB flash, external hard drive, etc. And then we have two digital outputs. Both of them are SPDIF. We have a coaxial RCA one and optical one. There is no USB output. So this is a device only for those of you that have access to some sort of SPDIF connection on your DACs. That may be coaxial or optical, but not for USB only DACs. Now I'll quickly connect it to power it up and show you the front panel. It's really simple. You have only one switch on the front, and pressing it up shortly will power on the device. I hope, yeah, you're seeing it's on. But this same switch doubles as a mode selector. So if you hold it for 3 seconds, it will change the mode here. You see this yellow LED. Now if I hold it for 3 seconds again, it switches back to mode number 1. And here I have to mention that using its native app, you can actually put it in a third mode that is not available through this switch. But what are these modes? This is interesting. Limetree Bridge receives files, and no matter what sample rate these files are, you have to choose one of 3 possible sample rate modes to output signal. So the mode with lowest sample rate will output either 44.1 or 48 kHz, depending on the source file. When you enter the next mode, it will upsample to the 88.2 or 96 kHz, depending on the starting file. And third mode is when the bridge will send highest possible sample rate to your DAC, and that's either 176 or 192 kHz. That's the highest sampling rate. And here is the weird thing. There is no option for Limetree Bridge to simply detect the original sample rate of your file and just pass it through. If you choose the highest possible sample rate, it will always upsample to one of these two, 176 or 192, depending on the branch of sample rates. Is it like 44.1, 88.2, 176, or 48, 96, 192? So if it's a lower sample rate, it will upsample it. But then, if you choose a lower sample rate as your output, but then you play high-resolution file, it will actually downsample it to the mode that you chose. For example, if you chose 88.2 or 96 kilohertz output, but you suddenly play 192 kilohertz file from, let's say, high-resolution streaming service such as Qobuz, it will downsample it to the mode that you chose. And I don't know why they did that. But let me actually finish this rant by saying that I found out that highest sampling rate sound the best on this device. And no matter what is the source file sample rate, choosing the highest possible output sample rate always sounds the best to my ears, and I was like, okay, they've decided to make it like that, I will go with it, because I have no choice really, and I will leave it in the highest possible sample rate mode, because it sounds the best. But this decision, this kind of construction of this streamer, has one side effect that some of you will not like, and that Limetree Bridge cannot pass MQA files through. Why is that? Because it's always resampling the signal. It will destroy that MQA information folded into a file. So if a file with MQA information goes in, it's resampled, MQA info is lost, and you don't get the MQA information on the output of this bridge. Now, personally, I really don't care about that. Why? Because I really don't care about MQA. In my personal opinion, just listening to it, I'm not getting technical about MQA. High-resolution files, uncompressed, the way that Qobuz, for example, serves high-resolution files, they sound noticeably better than MQA compressed files that Tidal, for example, serves. And because of that, I don't care about MQA, I don't support it. But if you disagree, then please leave your comments and your reasoning in the comments section down below the video. Now, to quickly go through some other features of this streamer, I'll read from the box. It supports Spotify, Deezer, Qobuz, Tidal, it's Rune ready also. It has Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and it also supports UPnP and DLNA protocols. So it means its connectivity and versatility is really great. So, because I mentioned it supports UPnP connection, I actually first tried using it with my favorite UPnP app, that's mConnect. The moment I connected Limetree Bridge to my home network, it was listed in mConnect list of output devices. I streamed my music to it, everything worked just fine. But then I downloaded Lindemann's native streaming app that exists for both Android and iPhones. And I tried using that app just to realize that the sound is a little bit better that way. It's a little bit cleaner, a little bit fuller, so I actually ended up using its native app. What I didn't like about it is that its UI is not always behaving as I'm expecting it to. Actually, most of the time it does. It works quite fine, it's snappy, it's logical, but I really dislike this one thing. For example, I'm listening a song and I'm looking on my screen that song currently playing and the cover of that song. Then my screen goes off, or I turn it off, I leave the phone. After a minute, when I get my phone, I turn the screen on, I realize that Lindemann App is reloading UI really quickly. And it doesn't return me to the place where I left it. which is a currently playing track, but it returns me to a playlist or in some cases even to a home screen. And here's the thing, sometimes I would see a minimized current track playing in the bottom of the screen, so I would just click on that minimized stripe and that's okay. But sometimes after that UI reloading, that minimized stripe does not exist. So I'm listening to a current track, but all I'm seeing on my screen is a home screen. And at that moment, I have no access to controls like skip to the next track, or pause, or do anything like it. I basically have to enter a playlist and play any song again for me to get access to that currently playing interface. But I'm not sure if that's something that's happening on all phones or is it maybe just a bug on my own. If you had similar experience or if you never had such experience with this device and its app, please leave a comment down below the video so we can have more inputs than just my own experience. And now I can finally talk sound. So when it comes to sound, I can simply say this device really sounds great. It's highly revealing. Bass notes are quick, they're precise, they contain a lot of texture information, transients are crisp and quick, leading edges are energetic, highest spectrum is well extended. There is a lot of air and a lot of atmosphere that I can hear in any recording. And basically anything I have to say about its sound quality is just praise. And to be perfectly honest, I don't have much experience with streamers of such price, let alone higher price. I mainly use budget streamers based on Raspberry Pi, and because of that I'll just quickly compare what you get sound-wise with this one that you don't with these budget options. So for example, what I'm currently using is Raspberry Pi with Allo DigiOne SpeedIF interface. It's a very affordable, like $150 or something like that streamer, and it sounds great for that amount of money. This thing is like 5 times more expensive. Does it sound 5 times better? No, it doesn't, of course, but it does sound noticeably better. And when I say noticeably, it means that compared to it, bassline on Allo DigiOne sounds melted and muffled almost. It's slower. It doesn't reveal as much texture. And similarly, mid-range, like vocals, if I listen to, let's say, Norah Jones, I'm much more aware of her sandy vocal when I listen it through a Limetree Bridge. Highest frequencies, similar stories. It feels like this is a closed, darker sounding device, while this one opens the soundstage. It has more air, it has more space, and because of that, I feel that the soundstage is wider and it's also taller. Actually, I never heard my whole hi-fi system creating such type of spacious, airy soundstage, because I was always using like good value streamers, but they were never that expensive really, and that good as Limetree Bridge. And basically the same gap would persist if I compared Limetree Bridge to Allo USB Bridge that I reviewed recently, and the best streamer that I ever had so far in my own system was actually also based on Raspberry Pi, but instead of DigiOne, it used DigiOne signature board. More complex board with 2 power supplies, and I clearly remember that one sounded more resolving, more precise, and revealing more texture than my own DigiOne. I didn't have DigiOne signature to compare directly to Limetree, but from what I can recall, I definitely didn't feel that the gap was that big. In my mind, from what I remember, if the gap between it and my own streamer is like this, then DigiOne signature would be somewhere in between. I cannot give you like exact numbers and percentages and things like that. It's really difficult. Of course, I can say with certainty, Limetree does not sound 5 times better than Pi plus DigiOne. It costs that much more, but it doesn't sound that much better. I don't know, it probably sounds like 20, 30, 40%. These are just random numbers, but it's somewhere along these numbers. Let's say for the sake of the argument that it's 30% more detailed, revealing, airy, and everything. But for that, you pay 5 times the price. This leads me to the tough part, and that would be conclusion. Now, I didn't buy this one, and the company did not send it as a review sample. I actually received it from a friend. He bought it. He lent it to me. I'm using it for about a week now, and I quite like it. The more I get used to this type of revealing sounds, the more I actually realize when I return to my own streamer how closed and not as airy, not as insightful it sounds. And I would lie to you if I say I didn't wish to have this one instead of my own. But the problem for me is actually the price. 750 euros for streamer only. It just feels expensive for myself and my budget and what I am prepared currently at this moment to pay for a streamer. And it clearly is an uphill battle. If I would decide to go with it, you just have to admit that to yourself. You pay significantly more for something that sounds clearly and noticeably better, but not as nearly much better as it is more expensive. But what my true problem here is that I cannot find a streamer that's cheaper but offers the same amount of sound fidelity. And as an audiophile, once I hear this kind of fidelity, I tend to want it. I don't want to return this unit, and I don't want to go back to my less resolving streamer, but I also don't want to pay that much for this one. It's a conundrum. And that's the one that each one of you have to solve for yourself. How much of an uphill battle are you ready to battle pursuing that highest possible fidelity? Currently, at this moment in time, I don't feel ready yet to cash out 750 euros for this streamer. I'll probably just return it and I'll just get used to my slightly less resolving and less insightful sound and my streamer again. That said, to be perfectly honest, if my budget allowed for purchasing this unit easily, I would order it today. But my budget is not that great these days. And because of that, I'm choosing something that is a better value. In absolute terms, it doesn't sound as good, but it's a better value and I'm okay with that for a time being. And because of that, you should definitely like this video, share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel, and then watch even more of my reviews, so the channel can grow more, and when I finally reach maybe 50 or 100,000 subscribers, I can finally afford pieces of gear like these, instead of just loaning them from friends. Is that too much to ask? But all jokes aside, I hope this video was informative for you, I hope you liked it, and see you next time. Bye.